Good morning, fellas, and welcome back to My Prize Garage. My name is Matt, and there's a lot to consider when you're making a game show. How many rounds should there be? How much money will be on the line? What should be the punishment for forgetting you're not on Jeopardy? Stuff like that. But today, we'll be taking a look at the number of contestants a show has per game. I'll take you through a bunch of shows, and see how the number of contestants helps or hurts them. Alright, let's get started. Let's start with two shows that absolutely have the perfect amount of contestants, Tic-Tac-Dough and Hollywood Squares. These shows have 2 players, and that's 1000% how it should be. And I think it's fair to say that since they're both trivia shows based on Tic-Tac-Toe, a 2-player game. Could you make a 3-player Tic-Tac-Toe game show with a little bit more thought and effort? Yeah, but you know what they say, keep it simple, stupid. The shows work well in their existing formats, so no need to complicate things. Street Smarts is a show that features 2 in-studio contestants, and their job is to guess whether random people on the street got trivia questions right or wrong. I think this is a good setup, because the format fits neatly into a half-hour time slot. For the most part, they only show clips of the people on the street if the in-studio contestant picks them for that question. Sometimes they'll watch all 3 just for fun, but usually they'll only play the 1 or 2 clips they need. There would be a lot less of that flexibility if there were 3 contestants in the studio. It would be harder to edit the show down to half an hour, since they'd be showing quite a few more clips per episode. Could they do it? Yeah, in the same way I could walk across the entire United States, carrying my friend Dash the whole time. That'd be hard, and there's not really a whole lot of payoff if I do it. 2 players on Street Smarts is the right number in my opinion. Another show that wouldn't really work with a different number of contestants is most versions of Match Game, and once again that's because of time constraints. On a Match Game PM and Match Game Hollywood Squares Hour, they play 3 rounds with 2 questions each in half an hour or so. If they had 3 contestants and kept the number of rounds the same, the show would be a lot more rushed. Which is a shame, because part of what makes the show fun is the celebrities goofing around. So the more questions you have to get through, the less time there is for that. But on the flip side, you have the CBS version of Match Game from the 70s. Theoretically, this show could have any number of contestants, because the games don't fit neatly into episodes. They just played for about 20 minutes, and then picked off wherever they left off next time. Some episodes would start with a bonus round, some would start in the middle of a round, some would start with Charles Nelson Riley rappelling down from the sky. It's great.
Does anyone have any talcum powder?
So if they want to have like 7 contestants and take all week to play 1 game, they could have. Not saying they should have, but they could have. Match Game is hardly the only show that ended episodes in the middle of the game, but shows like, say, Card Sharks and Password would get a lot messier with more contestants. 3-player Card Sharks just straight up would not work, since the whole show is built for 2 players. One person sets a guess, and then their opponent decides if they think the actual answer is higher or lower than that guess. So that format wouldn't work with 3 players, for example. You'd have to come up with a whole new game to decide who controls the cards. And that's not worth your time when the existing format gets the job done. Keep it simple, stupid. It seems like the sweet spot for most game shows tends to be 3 players, though. I could list off a bunch of shows with 3 contestants per game, but I'd rather make a video that, you know, ends at some point. I'll leave the infinite length videos to somebody else. But 3 seems about right for a lot of shows, especially ones with buzzers. A show like Jeopardy requires a lot of knowledge, yes, but you also need good buzzer speed to win. That's part of the reason Super Champions are able to stay on the show for so long. They're smart as all get out, yeah, but they also have more practice on the buzzer than their opponents. So now imagine being a challenger playing against, say, Amy Schneider. Not only do you have to beat her on the buzzer when she's used it so many times, but you also have to beat your other opponent. I have no way to prove this, but I think it's fair to say that if Jeopardy had, say, 6 players per episode, Super Champions would stay on the show for longer. Someone who's really good on the buzzer would still have an advantage, and then the money for the clues they don't get would be split 5 ways instead of 2. You've also got Masterminds, aka you freaking lose because your opponent is Ken Jennings. But before he or one of the other trivia experts likely deletes you in the bonus round, there's 6 players on stage, 3 contestants and 3 Masterminds. The second round is on the buzzers, and whoever buzzes in first earns the right to write down their answer. There's a better way to word that sentence, but that's okay. But 1 player and 1 mastermind gets to answer each question, so it's basically 2 3-player games happening at the same time. A 3-player race on the buzzer is pretty common, but some shows have 4 players on buzzers, which feels like just a tad bit much, but it's not the worst thing in the universe. Super Jeopardy had 4 players per show in the quarterfinal round, but that's because there were 36 players in the tournament, and only 9 spots in the semifinals. There's also Richard Osman's House of Games, a show with 4 celebrities who are on for the whole week. There are some games on the buzzers, but there's a variety of other games. They've got 2v2 team games, as well as games played on tablets. They've even got 2v2 team games played very poorly on tablets.
On the 4th of July 2017, Joey Chestnut won an international hot dog eating contest for the 10th time by eating how many hot dogs in 10 minutes?
1,000 dogs.
Hello, chat. Competitive eaters have to chew. Anyway, my point here is that while 3-player buzzer games are the most common, 4 players isn't egregious, and there are good reasons to have more than 3 contestants racing to ring in on your show. Super Jeopardy was a primetime tournament, so they wanted to think bigger, and House of Games team rounds wouldn't really work with 3 players, so having an even number of contestants means they're able to play a wider variety of games. Now let's take a look at a couple of shows that definitely have too many contestants. Pointless is a cool format, because it takes the trivia aspect you see on a lot of shows, and it also adds a survey element, kinda like Family Feud. But they flip it on its head. Instead of looking for the most common answers, you're looking for the most obscure answers. The ones the fewest people knew. Let's take a look at an episode. Oh dear god, there are 8 people on my screen. Yup, the show features 4 teams of 2, and one gets eliminated after each round. Like most game shows, the host Alexander Armstrong has a chat with all the contestants so we can learn more about them. During the first round, he talks to one contestant, has them give an answer, then rinses and repeats 7 more times. The content for the show is good, but the first round is absolutely dreadful to sit through because of how long it drags on and on and on, especially since there's only one answer between each interview. So I find myself skipping through most of the first round of the show, only stopping to hear the answers. If they say anything useful or interesting, oh well. But wait, there's more, and it's worse. When the show first premiered, there were 5 teams, so there were 10 freaking contestant interviews to sit through. In my opinion, this is a prime example of a show that would work a million times better if there were fewer contestants, and it didn't last as long. A half-hour version of the show would be way easier to sit through, because like I said, the format is good. You can make a solid show out of this, but instead we got a kinda mediocre one. Heck, some team shows interview the team as a whole instead of going one by one, so having just 4 interviews would work better as well. In a similar vein, there's Millionaire Hot Seat. It's an Australian show that spun off from their version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. How many contestants do you think a show should have, if it's built around a 15-question money ladder? If you said anything less than 6, you're gonna be disappointed with this show. Yep, 6 people rotate in and out of the hot seat. There's a lot of episodes where the contestants in the 5th and 6th positions don't get to play at all, in which case they're invited back to play again another time. If you do get to play out of the 6th position, the chance of the million still being on the table by your turn is basically 0, because the prize you're playing for depends on how many questions everybody else got wrong. So if you're up last and all 5 other people got a question wrong, you're only playing for $10,000. Don't get me wrong, I think it's fine to make winning $1 million harder on a daily show. When you're filming so many episodes, you can burn through your prize budget if you're not careful. But here, the reason it's harder is usually completely out of the last player's control. Very few people won the million on the syndicated US version of the show, but that's just because the questions were harder. Hot Seat would work so much better if there were only 3 or 4 contestants on each episode. That way, if you pass your turn, you actually have a decent chance of coming back later. Plus, it would give everybody outside the first position a fighting chance of winning $1 million. There's some game shows with a lot of contestants that work well, though. The Weakest Link has 9 contestants, and after each of the first 7 rounds, one of them is voted off the show until there's 2 people left. That's for an hour-long format, but the US also got a syndicated half-hour version. This time, there are 6 contestants, which I still think is fine considering it's a shorter show. 4 elimination rounds is fine. A 3-player version of the show, though, that just straight up would not work. The show's whole secret sauce is how they eliminate contestants, so only 1 round of voting would be underwhelming to say the least. A lot of contestants aim to eliminate people they just don't like, or people they think would be strong competition in the final round. So if you only had 3 contestants in 1 round of voting, the other 2 could decide to vote you out for some nonsense reason like, his shoelaces are untied. 15 to 1 is another show with a lot of contestants. I'll give you 24 minutes to guess how many. Welp, it seems like Editor Matt and Narrator Matt aren't on the same wavelength. Oh well. 15 people appear on each episode answering trivia questions till they lose all 3 of their lives. Having so many cooks in the kitchen allows them to do something that not a lot of game shows can do. They can edit some contestants out of episodes entirely, relatively seamlessly, which has come up unfortunately. In the series' 29 grand final, the contestant in position 4 was never shown on screen, because of a legal dispute they were in at the time. So they were edited out, and their questions were skipped to allow the episode to air anyway, which was made possible by the fact that they were eliminated in the first round. And since there's so many contestants, it would be pretty easy to not even notice one was missing. The episode where they qualified for the grand final was never aired for the same reason, and the other 14 people on that show were invited back to play again another time. And that's just something that wouldn't work with a lot fewer contestants. If there was one contestant removed from an episode of, say, Wheel of Threechin, you'd notice pretty quickly, because of how few contestants they have in the first place. That's also thanks to the show using so many wide shots of all the contestants, during toss-ups and stuff like that. 15 to 1 becoming 14 to 1 for a day is more subtle, especially since contestant 4 didn't make it very far. Another show with a ton of contestants is Millionenjagd. 1,000 people answer trivia questions, and over the course of the show, the lowest scoring sections of the audience are eliminated. After some more rounds, the one contestant who's left moves on to the final round. Starting in 2002, the final contestant is presented with 26 cases, containing values between 1 cent and 5 million euros. Yep, it's Deal or No Deal, which of course has gone on to find success as a standalone game around the world. But I digress. I think the 1,000 contestant thing is a pretty neat idea, but it would probably feel pretty crummy if you were getting the questions right, and your section still gets eliminated, because the people near you aren't doing as well. Either way, a show with 1,000 contestants is a cool sounding idea, even if it is a bit iffy in practice. Plus, not a lot of game shows can claim they started a successful franchise with their bonus round alone. Speaking of Deal or No Deal, it's a good example of a game show that only has one contestant, which I find kinda hilarious, because it originated from a show with 1,000 contestants. There's plenty of shows where you're not playing against somebody else, it's just you versus the board. Shows like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Show Me the Money, and The Chamber fall into this category, and you know what? So do shows where everybody's on the same team, so that would include stuff like The Wall as well as The Exit List across the pond. These shows tend to find a home in prime time slots, because having just one contestant allows you to spend more time building up drama. Deal or No Deal and The Wall do feel like they're more about the contestants than the game though, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I understand why they are. If you only have one contestant, you want the audience to be rooting for them. Heck, if ABC really wanted to, they could turn the bonus round of Press Your Luck into a standalone show as well. One contestant versus the board, with their family cheering them on like Deal or No Deal. I'd rather they not do that because the main game is fun too, but hey, they could do it. My last long-form video was about the prize money that game shows put on the table, and this video is in kind of the same vein as that. Over these last two videos, I've zoomed in on one aspect of game shows, because a lot of thought has to go into them. Having the right number of players will generally go unnoticed, but having the wrong number can make your show noticeably worse and harder to sit through. On the flip side though, there's not a lot of shows that I would look at and say, they should have more contestants on this game. For most shows, having too many contestants would be worse than having too few. A lot of 3-player games would work just fine if they were one-on-one, but more fans of your show can play in a 3-player format. Well, that'll just about do it for this video. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed yourself, and you want to see more of these videos. I also do daily shorts, so check those out if you'd like. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, fellas. Sleep well.